Okay, we are going to try this again. What's good, YouTube? It is Durango back again with another video. In today's video, I want to talk about my top 5 tips on how to become a better filmmaker. Now, I have been a filmmaker for about 3 years. Personally, I feel like I have learned a lot along the journey. When I first started, I remember every single day when I would get off of my regular job, I would literally just sit for hours and watch YouTube videos of other full-time videographers, full-time filmmakers, and just watch all their how-to videos. And I always told myself that if I ever got to a point where I was doing it full-time, I would make those same videos. So this is me making good on the promise that I made to myself and stepping in to that role. And if you notice where I am right now, I am currently in Tulum, Mexico, shooting a short documentary with DG and Devin Klein. You guys should know who DG is. Literally just being at this resort is like a filmmaker's dream. Wherever I go, I'm like, okay, even if I don't have my camera, I'm like, okay, where here would I shoot if I was shooting a film? And this place, funny enough, everywhere around me is perfect to set up a camera and shoot a YouTube video. But 1, it is hot AF outside. 2, it's very sunny and I do not have any ND filters for my Osmo Pocket. And if I shoot with my main camera, it's gonna overheat. Today, we're going to talk about my top 5 tips for filmmakers that will instantly make you a better filmmaker. Now, obviously, these tips are just from my personal experience. If you have any tips that you would like to share, please leave a comment down below. And if you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at filmedbyrango. Tip 1 is really the difference maker in the filmmaker that I was last time I came here to where I am today. And obviously, with time comes experience, but I personally believe that tip number 1 is the reason why the way that I shoot content today, whether it's for documentaries, whether it's for YouTube content, just like this video, or whether it's for social media, tip number 1 is that difference maker for me, and it is planning your content. For the longest time, I thought that planning my content meant I need to sit down, I need to come up with an idea for a video, first outline it, write an entire script to it, rewrite the script, and keep doing that until it was perfect, and then set up a teleprompter. Now I have a whole different perspective on planning out my content. And the way that I plan my content changed once I decided that I was going to enter into a film festival, and I was like, okay, this is something that I'm going to enter. Literally no negotiation. For some reason, it took me having to enter into a film festival, which has always been a goal for me to finally elevate the way that I plan my content. I use Milanote for all of my planning. Essentially, what planning my content does, it gives me time to be creative, and it enhances my creativity when I'm on set. The biggest thing that I've noticed it's done for me is it allows me to be more creative with things besides just what I'm shooting or how I shoot it. If I know what story I'm trying to tell, I can get more creative with camera angles, lighting. I can get creative with a bunch of different things that I wouldn't be able to think about if I was trying to think on the fly. So I use Milanote to write down all my notes on anything that pops in my head at any given moment. They have a whole bunch of different things, from shot listing to mood boarding, storyboarding, literally everything that you could ever need. Milanote has definitely changed my creative process as a whole. I know that a bunch of different filmmakers use it. Another thing that I've noticed that planning my content does for me is it actually makes it so much more palatable, and it makes it actually real for me to create the content. Just like this YouTube video, I've wanted to do sit-down YouTube videos for the longest, but because I would try to just go off the strength of remembering the idea and I would just go off the top of my head, it wasn't really working. Creating an outline and being able to have it right here on my phone has definitely changed the game for me. So that's my tip number 1. Tip number 2 is journaling. And journaling for me is something that I do every day now, every single day. And it started with me just trying to learn more about myself. I've heard a lot that journaling just helps you on your own journey just as a person, but I've noticed how much it helps with my creative process as well. Because obviously, as a creative, as a filmmaker, a lot of who I am is in the work that I create. So a lot of my background comes from music, and all throughout high school, I would go to a music business camp every single year, and one of the exercises that they gave us was for 5 minutes straight, no picking up your pen, just write whatever comes to your mind. And you can essentially force yourself to be creative at any moment. It's because I'm finally getting something on paper, it opens up my mind to receive more creative ideas, more creative melodies, and things like that. And it's no different for filmmaking, for editing, for videography, for cinematography, whatever you do creative, it's no different. I have a bunch of different journals. I have an all black journal, black pages, black cover. It's super sleek, and honestly, for me, it breeds creativity because it's an unorthodox notebook. If I do want to write down for 5 minutes, I actually write on it until the entire page is filled. There's no spaces. It doesn't matter what I write or any creative idea that I have, or just literally that is just my creative freedom journal. And I take it with me pretty much everywhere I go. The second journal that I have, which is probably the most important one that I have besides creativity, is my daily gratitude journal. I started getting into a daily gratitude journal practice before I became a full-time filmmaker, before making videos was my full-time job. Just being able to go back and see the difference in thought process and the different things that I was grateful for back then versus where I am today, one, helps me to be more creative. It inspires me. And then being grateful for what I am able to do just keeps me level-headed, and it just reminds me that not only am I exactly where I wanted to be when I was watching those YouTube videos 3 years ago, working a regular job, it really just puts into perspective how far I've come. But then not only that, it also makes me even that much more grateful, and it helps me want to help other people who are trying to get to where I'm at. And it honestly combats some of that imposter syndrome that's involved with being a full-time creative, or being a creative in general, or just being a person. Which leads me into my third tip. Still like an artist. There was a very brief period of my creative journey where every single day I was scrolling through Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikToks for 4 to 5 hours a day, just consuming content. I was like, okay, I'm a creative. Like, all I do is create content for a living. This is what I do. So I need to keep consuming to see what works on social media. And boy, will I tell you that this was the most draining and less creative period of my entire creative journey as a filmmaker. One, I created less because most of my day was spent consuming other people's content, but then two, the things that I were creating were not creative at all. It was literally just a carbon copy of what somebody else was doing, solely because it got a lot of views. At that moment, I realized that I wasn't consuming content the right way. One of my friends said to me one day, he said that your diet is more than what you eat. Your diet is everything that you consume. It's what you watch, it's what you listen to, it's what you see, which I guess is the exact same thing as what you watch. Your diet is more than just what you eat. It's everything that enters your body. Once he told me that, I started to consume everything differently. For me, when I'm consuming content, it's not the video that I'm trying to emulate. It's what audio is trending for this Instagram. I post to Instagram a lot, trying to grow my personal brand a little bit. Music is the most influential thing in my life. So for me, music is the number one thing that I need to watch. Or that I need to be conscious of my consumption of, whether it's consuming too much music or just the type of music that I do consume. So recently I've been listening to a lot of meditation music, a lot of study music, and that kind of leads into stilling like an artist. So what I am consuming, I can take what I like from that and then add my own flair on it. Nothing is really new or unique. Everything comes from something. Everything was spurred from something. Candles came from fire. We said, hey, wax, lights on fire, we can make candles. It's light. And then we took the idea of, oh, this is a candle. Let's make a candle that never burns out, or that takes longer to burn out. Now we have light bulbs. Still like an artist is taking the things that you like about something and making it your own, or better, or making it better. And yeah, so that leads me, which actually does lead me, I keep saying actually does lead me to the next thing, which leads me to tip number 4, which is reading. Reading is actually where a lot of the things that I'm bringing to you today actually comes from books that I read. Also, it plays into what I consume. Reading is probably the number one way that I've been consuming content recently. One of the books that I've been reading recently is called The World is a Mirror. This book is transformational, for real, for real. I read it on my way to Mexico, and it just changes the way that one, I look at myself, and then two, the way that I look at the art that I create. It helps me to create a picture in my mind, which leads back to tip number one, which is planning your content. So if I can read something that somebody else created and I could see visually what is happening, it just makes it that much easier for me to clearly write out what I'm trying to convey on paper, so that when I do create it, it's a lot easier for me. And then the most important tip that I will give you today, tip number 5, is to see yourself as more than what you think you are now. And going back to the book that I'm reading, The World is a Mirror, a lot of times what holds us back isn't anything outside of us, it's our own thoughts. And honestly, it's not even the thoughts that hold us back, it's the thinking around our thoughts. We can't control the thoughts that pop into our mind, but we can control the thinking around those thoughts. When you see yourself as something more than what you are now, you will strive to become more than what you are now. It took something outside of me for me to give myself permission to elevate the way that I create, to elevate my planning of my content. I had to join a film festival, which was one of my biggest goals, but the biggest thing that held me back was my storytelling. Durango, I'm giving you permission to become a better filmmaker today. Plan your content. For me, that's what it took. For a lot of people, it actually will take external things, but find something within you that's going to make you see yourself as something more than you are now. If you're a filmmaker, stop saying I want to be a filmmaker and embody who you want to be now. And you will notice, one, if you are that of which you want to become, if you are that, you're giving yourself permission to accept opportunities that allow you to step into that. And then other people are going to, in turn, see you in the same light that you see yourself. But no one's going to see you as a filmmaker unless you see yourself as that first. And nothing outside of you is going to give you that permission. You have to give you that permission. If this video helped you, like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what is your number one tip that you would give to filmmakers? Without further ado, my name is Durango, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Peace out, y'all.